Morning, everybody. So today we're gonna finish putting this, doing the final assembly on this motor, or getting it back together and getting ready to move on to the next thing. So stick around.
No, you're not bringing home another piece of junk.
This morning, okay, we're gonna do a final assembly on this thing, and I've kind of done a few things to it already. Got all my freeze plugs put in. Got the heads cleaned up and painted. Went in and painted the valve covers while I was at it, but man, this is weird. Look at this. Look how these things cracked. And I have no idea why it did that. That's weird. So I'm going to have to sand them down and paint them again. So not sure why that happened. Nothing else I painted did that. So I don't know. Go figure. So we'll just have to sand them down again, and I put a little primer under them and reshoot them. So I don't know. Maybe it was too cold in here when I did it. So anyway, I've got to put the heads on. I've got to put the lifters back in. I got the balancer just kind of pushed on there a little bit. I got to get that tightened up. We want to adjust the valves and put the intake on. Yeah, I'm probably gonna put the intake on. And we'll have to prime the engine when we adjust the valves, because we're gonna spin it over. Because you adjust some when it's at top dead center on number 1, and then you adjust the rest when it's at top dead center on number 6. So I got a lot of assembly lube on everything. Shouldn't be a problem spinning it over, but I'm gonna go ahead and put oil in this thing and put an oil pump primer in the distributor and build some oil pressure for us, spin it over. So okay, well, I'm not going to show every bolt of this thing, but all right, let me do a couple things and we'll pick this back up in just a second. All right, so I bought like the regular builder grade Felpro engine gasket set. It's what I usually use. It's like $40 for everything. These are the head gaskets that come with it. One thing I like to do, now no sealer is required on these head gaskets. Generally you put them on dry. But one thing I like to do is use this copper gasket spray. Now I know a lot of people may disagree with that. I've had people say, oh, you can't use that on this type of head gasket because it'll hurt the gasket. I've been doing this, I don't know how many years, since I've been building engines, and this is just something an old GM guy had taught me years and years back. Old GM mechanic, he said you don't have to do it, but it's just a little extra insurance, especially when you're doing old engines and you're not taking it to the machine shop to have every possible imperfection taken out and have everything 100% perfectly straight. I put together, I don't know how many engines like this, and I have never had one blow a head gasket later because of this stuff. Some of the motors I put together years ago are still out there running. So, but it's your choice. You can put them on dry, or you can put them on this. Now, if you do have to take them off after you put this on, you're probably going to have more stuff to clean off the head and to clean off of the block mating surface, because it is kind of sticky. So spray down both sides. I believe this copper stuff, there's some kind of heat transfer properties to it too. Not sure. I don't know about you all, but we got a crazy amount of rain here the last couple of days. 2 to 3 inches. So I hope everybody's doing okay and didn't get flooded out. I know my sump pump in my basement was working all the time. Alright. So I'll do them about like that. And we'll let them dry. Okay, so let's move over here. Alright, I want to get my lifters in while that's drying. So, I went ahead and picked up another thing of assembly lube. I kind of ran out when I was doing the cam. Coffee is good. I gotta wonder who was the first guy in history that looked at a coffee bean and said, let's grind that thing up and run some hot water through it and have it for breakfast. Makes you wonder how some of that kind of stuff started. Alright, get these on. Basically on these, just want to make sure they got plenty of assembly lube on them, especially on the bottom. We do not want to flatten the cam when this thing fires up. Sometimes I'll like open these up and put them in a pan of oil and let them soak overnight just to kind of let the oil get down in there so they pump up easier. Just didn't think about doing it this time. Don't have to. There's a good glob on the bottom. Swirl that around there. Push them all the way down. Okay, I got 16 of these to do. Let me shut this off for a minute while I do these, and then we'll pick it back up. Okay, so I got the head set on here. Got all my lifters in. I was having trouble getting this head on there, and then one thing you gotta look for when you're using a head that wasn't on that engine, there's 2 pins in the block that go up into this head. Well, on this head, one of the pins from whatever engine it came off of was still in there, so I was starting to get a little irritated, and then I pulled it off and found that thing, pulled it out of there. So we're good to go now. So anyway, I'm sticking head bolts in. I got a lot of them in already, but on small block Chevy and on a lot of engines, the head bolts go directly into the water jacket. So you need some kind of sealer on them. I like using this red RTV. It's a high temp RTV. I use it for a lot of different stuff. But it works good on this. So I just kind of put a glob on there, roll it around, get it in the threads good, and get it started. So we're going to do all these head bolts, and then I'll take my air ratchet, go around, run them down, and then we'll torque them. And there's a torque sequence in the book we'll use. I'm sure most people know how to do that. Got some really good news. A couple days ago, my stepson is getting married. He proposed to his sweetheart, who's a wonderful girl, and we're looking forward to having her in our family. So we're going to get together tonight and celebrate and eat too much and do all that good stuff. But I think they'll be very happy together. And hopefully I'll get more grandbabies out of the deal. You can never have too many grandbabies. We got 4 right now. 2 here in town, which are 4 and 4 months, and 2 down in Florida that are 14, I guess, 14 and 11. But I probably said that a bunch of times on here, but I just love my grandbabies. I'm sure you all do too. I'm sure I got all these. I had one that I just used to hold the head on. I think I went back and put glue on it. Okay. All right, so that's ready to roll. I'm going to grab my air ratchet, run all these down, torque them. I don't know if I need to show that or not. I'll tell you what, I'll do that, and we'll pick it back up when we, I'll put that together, put the valve train together, and we'll pick it back up when we do a valve adjustment on this thing. So.
North wind 10 to 15 miles per hour in the morning.
Thought I'd go ahead and show the head bolt. Head bolt torquing. I mean, maybe, you know, we got some beginners on here that haven't done that before. So I looked up in the book, and it is 70 foot-pounds on 283, which is really not much. Kind of expected more than that. But that's what it's calling for, so that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to split that in half, and we are going to do 35 and 35. We're going to do 35 first and then go back around and do 70. So you should always start, there is a diagram in the book that shows the sequence to go, but basically you're starting in the center of the head and you're torquing outward, working your way out. So that's you can kind of figure that without looking at the exact diagram, kind of up to you. So I'm starting this absolute center one, that one's already 35. I just took my air ratchet and ran these down.
This is Doug Jr. at Ruther Ford. Here at Ruther Ford, we still have time for you to take advantage of low 0% financing on new Ford F-150. No matter if it's in stock or if you prefer to pre-order to your specifications, Ford trucks are the #1 truck series 45 consecutive years in the U.S. and are the best on the road today. And speaking of the best, let's talk about the best service department in Jefferson and surrounding counties. It's right here at Ruther Ford. And here's just another reason why. We've invested in 2 new state-of-the-art Hunter alignment systems that will align your vehicle to perfection. And at Ruther
Alright, so did that one. Now let's go over here and do this one. Start in the center.
Your first and best choice when it comes to service. No matter where you purchase your vehicle, is Ruther Ford. Ruther Ford, same name, same service, and the same customer satisfaction. Come do business the Ruther way. We are Ruther Ford, I-55, the Herculaneum out of Mall Exit. Yes, I'm so sorry about the wait, ma'am. I'll be with you shortly. I'm sorry, how many appointments did you go to 2:30?
Jay's Physical Therapy Clinic is pretty set. He needs another PT before
Oop,
patients
I forgot to run that one down.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match
Missed
instantly
one.
connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Calling all coffee lovers. Hold on to your mugs because
Another thing I did that I didn't show is
deal of unlimited coffee for only $8.99.
took a little round wire brush, and I did this a while back,
all day long.
and just go through all the head bolt heads on the block and run it down through there. Clean those threads up, get any crud out of them, any old sealing out of them. I think I use that little brush there. That fit right in them head bolt holes. And just went through every one of them, cleaned them up, and then blew. So that goes right down into the water jacket, and then blew the water jacket out. Okay, so that's 35 on all of them. Now let's go back. Let's crank this up to 70.
Those raccoons from the basement. Concentrate on the soothing sound of my voice. Release the memory of when you wrestled with that beehive in your son's treehouse. Let go of the time that skunk was a cat. Or when you pulled into the garage with your son's bike on top of the car. Deep breaths. Deep breaths.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect family. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
I own.
I own my recovery from addiction and depression.
Join the Women for Recovery. It's worth it.
For information on mental and substance use disorders, including prevention and treatment referral, call 1-800-662-HELP. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Sunday, 24 hours a day, straight talk, AM 1400 KJFM.
Stay over here.
Here's the latest from the ABC News. I'm Brian. President Biden said Friday
All right,
the
let's
US
do
has
this
reason
side.
to believe that Russian President Vladimir Putin has decided to invade Ukraine. The U.S. warns that Russia could use false provocation to justify an attack.
We're calling out Russia's plans loud and clear, not because we want a conflict, but because we want everything in our power to remove any reason Russia may give to justify invading Ukraine and prevent them from moving.
Those efforts continue today in Europe. Vice President Kamala Harris at the Munich Security Conference vowed unprecedented financial sanctions if Russia were to invade.
The imposition of these sweeping and coordinated measures will inflict great damage on those who must be held accountable.
ABC's Ian Powell in Ukraine with more on the last-ditch diplomatic push.
Vice President Harris due to meet with Ukrainian President Zelensky. Leader who chose to leave the country
Okay.
sometimes against some warning.
So I got through them all.
Conference in Munich.
Now I want to go back and check them and make sure they're right. So I'll just go front to back when I check them.
The Biden administration will maintain bullying whether diplomacy can save the day or whether warring Ukraine is now unavoidable.
Russian President Vladimir Putin today oversaw missile drills many in the West believe could be covered for an invasion. The family of Dante Wright's not happy after former Brooklyn Center, Minnesota police officer Kim Powell was sentenced to 16 months in prison and 8 months of supervised release for fatally shooting Wright during a traffic
a little
stop
more.
last year.
We're very disappointed in the outcome. Just got a conviction. We thank everybody for that.
That's right.
See, it looks like I missed that
one. Below guidelines of 6 to 8.5 years. Former President Trump denying wrongdoing after the National Archives says boxes of White House material recovered from his club in South Florida contained classified material. This is ABC News.
Susan, it's so great to finally be able to get together again.
Oh, it sure is.
And I really appreciate you picking up the bill. I'm happy to.
Okay.
Serious extra cute. I'm downloading.
So that's good.
now.
All right, next thing I gotta do is put my push rods in and put all my rocker arms and nuts back on. So on the push rods, I want to put some assembly lube on both ends, and I want to put a dot of assembly lube on top of the valve, because I want, like I said, I want as much good pre-lube on this thing as I can get before it starts up. So, like that.
Federal judge Ahmed
Stuff is
Meadows
stringy.
ruling against Donald Trump, saying members of Congress and Capitol Police officers plan to
Get
go
down in the
forward
lifter.
with their lawsuit. A judge writing it's possible a jury
I
could
might as well just
decide
go along
the
here.
president telling supporters to quote fight like hell is not protected speech and may have incited the insurrection. It also says
Put a
those
little bit along here.
lawsuits, quote, establish a plausible conspiracy involving President Trump.
Texas has essentially banned abortions after a fetal heartbeat is detected by allowing citizens to sue abortion providers. California Governor Gavin Newsom says he supports a
Right
bill
on
that would do the
Texas.
same but target gun makers.
There is no principled way the U.S. Supreme Court cannot uphold this California law. None.
Ryan Clark, ABC News.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere.
All right,
Odyssey,
I'm gonna shut this off for a minute
for all the music.
while I grease the rest of these up.
And podcasts that matter to
And
you.
get these push rods in and get these rock arms on.
Susan, it's so great to find
Then
you
we're going to
again. Oh, it sure is. And I really appreciate
prime, put oil in the engine, prime it, and we'll go through and adjust the valves. All right, so back in just a few here. Okay, so I got all my rock arms put on, and I just ran the nuts down a little bit. I don't want to run them down too far because we got to adjust everything. So this is the intake I'm using. It's an old Wyand intake I've had for a while. I don't have it sealed on there yet. I just put a couple of bolts on there to snug it on there for now. Because when I put it in the car and I go to put like all my TVI stuff on here and all the brackets for the serpentine belt stuff, sometimes you end up with brackets that go in the you know, under the bolt on the holes that hold the intake down. So I didn't want to seal it all down and then like have to break some of them bolts loose again. So I just put it on here for now like this, so we can for priming the engine and for adjusting the valves. And what was I gonna say? Oh, brain fart. Okay, anyway, so I took my oil, I got some Valvoline 1040, and before I put the intake on, I dumped all 5 quarts down in there. You know, got all over those lifters good, let it drain down. I am going to get a little thing of zinc additive to put in the oil before we start the engine for cam break-in. Okay, so back here there's a oil pressure port. I just put a plug in that for now. And what I want to do is prime this oil pump until I start getting oil coming up through some of these push rods. So I made this a few years ago for priming small block Chevys or big block Chevys. This is just an old distributor that I cut it off and I welded a piece onto this shaft and I popped the gear off the end. So this just slides down in the distributor hole and it locks right into the oil pump, and you put a drill on there and you spin that thing. So if I look down in there, I can see the oil pump shaft, and I want to get it down in there. Yep, and that's locked in. I think I got a good battery in this thing. All right. feel it driving the pump, and I'm already starting to see oil. I'm seeing air bubbles coming up on some of these rocker arm shafts. So we're driving the pump. And that's getting oil going through the crank and through the rod bearings, through the main bearings. Getting everything good and lubricated up before we actually start trying to start this thing. Okay, I'm getting oil back here now. And I'm getting oil on this side. I'm getting some oil up there. All right, I think that's good. So that's a real easy tool to make if you got an old distributor laying around. Ew, messy. Get a rag. Okay. Like I said, that'll work on a small block or a big block Chevy. So clean that thing off and we'll throw it back under the shelf until next time we need it. All right. Okay, so now I've got number 1 on top dead center, and you know my timing marks here is right, so we set that up when we put the motor together. If I look in the book, under hydraulic valve lifter adjustment, it's going to tell me that when I'm at top dead center number 1, I can adjust. It tells me what intakes I can adjust and what exhaust valves I can adjust. So what I'm going to do is this. I've got this HEI distributor. I'm not going to use this. I'm going to use the distributor out of that motor out of that van, the TBI distributor, so I can do the spark control on it. But for setting up the for doing this will work good. All right, I might need a long screwdriver because I might have to, here we go, change this oil pump. So if I got a mark here for number 1. I know number 1 kind of usually points that way. So if I'm like that, then I look at my oil pressure tank. If you look at the bottom here, you can see that slot for the oil pump should kind of be, looks like in the same direction. So if I look down in there, it's a little bit that way, and I can just turn it. Ooh, need a light. I'll turn it that way a little bit. And now I should be able to drop my distributor in. Yep, and it went right in. Okay, so we're going to call that pointer going this way. We're going to call that top dead center for number 1. So now I know to adjust the other valves, I got to be at top dead center number 6, which is right across from number 1. So I'm just going to put me a mark here. And when I rotate this motor to adjust the next set of valves, this pointer needs to be pointing right there. And then we'll put it right back around to there, and we'll be right back to where we were before at number 1, and then that's where we'll drop the other distributor in, you know, once we take it out and clean it up and make sure everything's good with it. All right, so I need a ratchet and a 5/8. ratchet around here. Got plenty of them. All right, so it says for when I'm a number 1, I can adjust intakes 1, 2, 5, and 7. So if there's any question of which is the intake valve and which is the exhaust valve when you're looking at this, the exhaust valve is right over the exhaust port. So that's pretty easy. So we're gonna look at that again. Intake 1, 2, 5, and 7. So I can adjust intake, 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 intake. Okay, so this would be the intake valve for number 1. I'm going to crank this down, and what I want to do here is I'm going to spin that push rod while I'm cranking down. As soon as I get this tight enough where I got some resistance on that push rod, then I know I'm close. So it's still kind of spinning. It's close. Okay. All right, so now it just got hard to turn that push rod. So that's the initial adjustment. Now I'm going to go 3/4 of a turn. So if I look at my ratchet here, kind of look at it like a clock. Let's put it at 12 o'clock. 3/4 of a turn would be 9 o'clock. So I'm going to go 9 o'clock, and that one's done. So we did intake 1. Now let's do intake 2. Exhaust port, exhaust valve, intake. And that kind of already feels a little tight. So let's make sure. I might have to back it off a little bit. Okay. I just kind of randomly ran them down with my air ratchet, so. Okay, that just got tight. So I was really close on that one. So I'm gonna go 3/4 of a turn. I'm back at 12 o'clock. And I'm gonna go 9 o'clock. And that one's good. 5 and 7 are over here. So Chevy engines, I'm sure most people know, is your odd cylinders on one side, your even cylinders on one side, on the other side. So you got 1, 3, 5, 7, 2, 4, 6, 8 over there. So we're gonna go intake 5 and 7. I'm gonna spin my push rod. It's greasy from all that assembly lube. Yeah, I didn't run this one down very far. Oh, we're getting close. Right there. All right. 3/4 of a turn, 12, 2, 9, and we're good. All right, and intake number 7. Yep, I just got tight, so we're gonna crank this one down. 12 o'clock and 9. All right, so that is the intakes we can adjust at this side. Now it's gonna, for exhaust valves, we're gonna do 1, 3, 4, and 8. So we're doing intake and exhaust on number 1 because that's the cylinder it's firing on, so intake and exhaust will be closed, and you're adjusting this when the valve's closed. Okay. turn right there. All right, so that's number 1. What was the other ones? Exhaust 1, 3, 4, and 8. So 1, 3, and 4, and 8 over there. That aggravates me about those valve covers. The paint on those valve covers cracking. I don't get it. All I can think of is it was too cold in here when I painted it. So I just sand them down, hit them again. If anybody else has any other ideas why that might have happened, let me know. Maybe I'm missing something simple. Okay, 1, 3, 1, 3. We need 4 and 8 over here. So 2, 4, 6, 8. And 8 exhaust valve. Tight quick. Must have been close on that one. Four. Exhaust valve 8. That one was getting good oil flow. It's close on that one too. Okay. So let's take another quick look at it. Make sure we did the right ones. Intake 1, 2, 5, 7. Exhaust 1, 3, 4, 8. Okay. So now we need to spin the engine 180 degrees. And what I did, I just put a couple of bolts in the balancer up here. So I can do that. Something to spin it with. What do I got? Crowbar maybe? So we want to get this over to there. Okay. I can definitely tell these are new rings. It's tight. A little bit more. Right there. Okay. Now we want to adjust. Let's see what we got here. We went to number 6. So now we're going to adjust intake 3, 4, 6, and 8. I drink that coffee faster. It keeps cold. What did I just say? Intake 3, 4, 6, and 8. Okay. Okay, got tight. 3. 4, 6, and 8. Everything is. Did I read that right? Everything is on the other side now? Yep, that's right. So all my intakes down here. Okay. 3/4 turn. Intake 6. intake 8. You should have some resistance on these nuts too when you're turning them, because they're kind of mushed a little oblong at the top, so that they don't back themselves off. So if you got one that's like really loose, goes on real easy, it's probably going to give you problems. So you can kind of, sometimes you can take a punch and just stake the edge of it to tighten it up a little bit, or just get some other nuts. Okay, intake 1, intake 3, 4, 6, and 8. Okay. Now exhaust for number 6. Let's see what we got. Exhaust 2, 5, 6, and 7. 2, 5, 6, 7. Let's do 5 and 7 while we're standing here. Okay. 3/4. Exhaust 7. Two and 6 over here. Exhaust 2. Okay. Wait a minute, that's exhaust 4. All right, I gotta look back, see when I was supposed to do exhaust 4. I think I might have screwed that up. 2, let me, all right. It's easier to get these numbers mixed up in your head. Exhaust 2, 5, 6, and 7. All right, so I'm gonna have to readjust exhaust 4 when I spin it back around, because I messed it up. That's okay. Why didn't you stop me? Okay. And exhaust 6. Okay. And we'll loosen exhaust 4 back up because I screwed that up. We'll spin the motor back around to number 1 and we'll hit that one again. We'll loosen this back up just to make sure we don't bottom that thing out. Okay. All right, let's spin her back around to number 1. Where'd my motor spinner over go? Okay. Now let's readjust number 4. Okay, So that is your valve adjustment procedure and your oil priming procedure. So before I put this together, I am going to have to repaint these. But I'm just going to set them on here for now because I want to keep the dust out of this engine. This is pretty much where I'm going to stop for now. I need to get this balancer all the way back and torque it, but I can't really do that till I got a flywheel on the engine and can hold the engine from turning. So I'm going to wait to do that until we get this off the stand. Like I said on the intake, I'm going to wait to bolt it down until I'm actually putting the throttle body and all that stuff on there. So somebody's got a Q-Jet adapter plate on here. This is going to come off, and we're going to put the adapter plate for the TBI on here. But for now, it's essentially all together. Valves are adjusted, it's got oil in it, and it's in good shape I'm going to put some plastic over it, tape it to the stand, and make sure it doesn't get any dust in it. And we're going to get back on the body work on the Chevy. So I appreciate everybody hanging in for the series of putting the motor together, and you know, I hope you found the information useful. Make sure you hit like, you hit subscribe, pass this on to your friends, and if you got any comments, put them down in the comments section. So you like what's going on, you don't like what's going on, you know, you think I'm an idiot, feel free to tell me. But okay, that's all for now. So when we pick this back up next week, we'll be back. We're going to start taking the front clip apart on the 61. So thanks for tuning in, everybody.